The sun hung low, spilling blood-orange light over the dry ribs of the Badlands. Dustfall Station groaned in the heat, an old, splintering post that smelled of sun-bleached wood and stale sweat. The wind scraped across the porch like claws dragging. Over Coffinwood, a figure leaned against a crooked hitching post, boot heels crusted with dried mud and blood. He wore black coat, hat, gloves, and eyes. Folks called him Widowmaker, but no one said it to his face. He was just watching. That was all. Watching the stagecoach roll in, all creaks and clanks, its team of tired horses snorting through the dust. Watching the driver holler half-heartedly at the wheel that looked ready to fall off. Watching the passengers step down gawking, sweating, adjusting their coats, and then he saw her. She stumbled from the coach like a marionette with cut strings. Dressed in a nurse's uniform, stained and wrinkled, bonnet barely clinging to matted hair. She clutched a small leather satchel to her chest. 2 steps, then her knees buckled. She didn't scream, just dropped. Before she hit the ground, he was. There. The gunslinger moves. He caught her just before her head cracked the dusty plank. She was featherlight, all bones and dried-out skin, trembling in his arms like a leaf about to blow away. "Damn," he muttered. Her lips were pale, her breath shallow. A smear of blood darkened her white sleeve. Gasps from the stagecoach crowd. Someone whispered, "Ain't that him, Widowmaker?" He didn't look at them. His eyes scanned the horizon. 2 riders, coming in slow. Wrong kind. Of slow. The nurse stirred. Her hand shot up weakly, clutching his collar. Eyes fluttered open. Blue, wild, terrified. They single quotes read ... "Coming," she gasped. "Please, ... don't let them ... He didn't wait. "You're coming with me," he said. He scooped her into his arms like a sack of flour and strode off the platform. Dust flying with every step. The station master shouted something. A woman screamed. The riders dismounted. 2. Late. Into the shadows. The gunslinger ducked behind the saloon, slipped into the alley where shadows cooled the walls. He kicked open the door of a long-abandoned barn and laid her on a pile of burlap sacks. "Stay with me, miss." Her eyes fluttered again. Who ... Who are you?" He didn't answer. He unbuttoned the torn front of her dress, just enough to see the wound-clean cut across the ribs. Likely a knife. Not too deep, but angry and raw. He pulled out a flask, unscrewed it, and poured whiskey over the wound. She screamed. "Good," he muttered. "Means you're still alive. You're not a doctor." "No." "You're not law either." "Nope." "Then why ... help me?" He paused, wrapping a cloth around her ribs. "Tight, firm. Didn't like the look in your eyes," he said. "Looked like someone left you for dead." She nodded, barely conscious. "He'll kill me ... if he finds me." "Who?" A whisper. Boone Strickland. The gunslinger's jaw clenched. The name hit him like a branding iron to the chest. He stood up fast. Gunfire cracked outside. He pulled out a 6-shooter and checked the chambers. "Full." "We ride," he said. "Now." Flight under moonlight, they galloped into the dying light, kicking up dirt behind them like a trail of smoke. She rode behind him, arms clutched weakly around his waist, head pressed against his back. Behind them, torches danced. Riders. Or tracking them. Fast. He didn't speak, didn't turn. Just rode. The nurse lifted her head. The desert stretched out like the end of the world. Night rising over ridges. Coyote howls in the wind. Her voice broke the silence. "Do you have a name?" He hesitated. "Used to." "What happened to it?" "Buried it." She was quiet for a long time. Then softly, "You don't have to do this. You don't even know me." He didn't reply, but she caught the twitch in his fingers on the reins. A flicker of pain. Not physical. Deeper. The firelight reveal hours passed. The horses finally slowed. He pulled them into a narrow arroyo surrounded by stone. They built a small fire from dried brush. He handed her a flask and some jerky. She winced as she sipped. Firelight danced on her hollow cheeks. "You saved me," she said. "Why?" He stared into the flames. "I had a daughter once," he finally said. "She had your eyes. She didn't ask what happened to her. She didn't need to." He slowly removed a locket from his coat, opened it. A tiny sketch inside a girl, 6. Maybe, smiling, holding a doll. "I buried them both. Wife and child, Strickland's men." Her eyes welled with tears. "I'm sorry." "I don't need sorry." They sat in silence. Just the crackle of the fire and the far-off cry of some nocturnal beast. She leaned closer, her voice fragile. You think I can make it?" He looked at her, long and hard. "If you stick with me," he said, "you got a chance." He stood up, holstered his weapon, and scanned the ridge. "They'll keep coming. Then why not leave me?" she asked, trembling. He turned to her, eyes dark but soft. "Because he took everything from me," he said. "But he ain't taking you." They reached the ruins by sunrise. A half-buried chapel slumped behind a dry creek, bedwalls broken, roof sagging. Only the cross stood straight, casting a long shadow over the dust. The gunslinger helped her down gently. She winced, ribs tight. Beneath her bandage, "This where you pray?" she asked, managing a faint smirk. He grunted. "This where I hide." Inside, filtered light cut through broken stained glass. Saints stared down with cracked, hollow eyes. He laid her on a pew and rummaged through his saddlebag. "You always carry whiskey and needles?" she asked, eyeing his supplies. "Only when I expect trouble." She watched him for a long moment. "You have a name?" He paused, shrugged. "Used to be called Elijah." She blinked. "Elijah what?" "Just Elijah now." She leaned back, exhaling. "I'm Clara. Clara Westfield." He nodded, still cleaning his knife. "I was a nurse. Civil War. Mobile unit. That why you can take a knife wound without fainting?" "That and the whiskey." She smiled. He didn't. "I wasn't supposed to be on that coach," she said suddenly. "I was supposed to be heading east. Safer. Quieter. But—" She reached into her satchel, pulled out a bundle wrapped in cloth, opened it. Documents. Elijah SIs. Narrowed. Boone Strickland's names all over them. Land theft. Murder. Bribes. "You're not just running, Clara." "No," she said. "I'm exposing him." Ghosts of the past, she unfolded one paper, a list of names. One circled in red. "Carolyn Walker. That's my daughter's name." Elijah said softly. Clara looked up, stunned. She was 6. Taken. During a raid. My wife dead. House burned. Only thing they didn't destroy was that locket. He rubbed the back of his neck. Jaw clenched tight. "Strickland took everything from me too," he said. She swallowed hard. "I didn't know. You know now." A silence stretched between them. Heavy. Real. He stood. Checked his weapon. "Then we kill him," he said flatly. Clara sat up. "That's not what I ain't looking for justice. Elijah, I'm looking for the last bullet I'll ever need." Campfire and Wild West humor. They moved again before dusk. Found a dry ravine to bed down. Coyotes howled in the distance like ghost choirs. Clara stared at the fire, chewing old jerky with a grimace. "You?" "No," she said. "You're worse company than a drunk raccoon." Elijah raised an eyebrow. "That so?" She nodded. "You're brooding. You smell like horse. You haven't smiled once." He sipped from his flask. "Ain't had much to smile about?" "Well, Consider it a public service. What? She pulled a tiny harmonica from her bag, played 3 off-key notes, then coughed. Okay, maybe not, but I try. For a brief second, his lip twitched. Almost a smile. Hell, he said, you ever shoot a gun? Only men I shot were already dying. Tonight's lesson, he said, handing her his revolver. She blinked. You serious? He nodded. Shoot the bottle. She squinted. A bottle sat 20 feet out. She fired. Missed by a mile. He chuckled. You aiming for Kansas? She tried again. Missed worse. He stepped behind her, wrapped her hands in his, adjusted her stance. Relax, he said near her ear. Dot. She fired. The bottle shattered. Dot. She gasped. He smiled. See? He said. Not useless. She turned to thank him and stopped. Their faces were inches apart. She froze. Elijah. Dot. He blinked. Backed off. The fire popped. Surprise. Attack. They were asleep when the shots came. A bullet cracked the stone near Elijah's head. He rolled fast, pulling Clara down behind a rock. 5 of them, he said. Maybe 6. Bounty hunters? She asked. Could be. Could be worse. He fired back. One man screamed. Stay down, he growled. She didn't listen. She grabbed his spare pistol and fired toward the flash of gunfire. Behind the ridge, she yelled. Dot. He took the opening. Rolled out, fired 3 times. 2 riders fell, but then came the pain. A shot tore through his left shoulder. Elijah! He dropped to one knee, breathing hard. Blood soaked his coat. Clara scrambled to his side. I've got you, she whispered, voice trembling. You gotta go, he rasped. Now. Not without you. He smiled faintly. Stubborn. Like my wife. She pressed fabric to his wound, tying it tight with her scarf. Another bullet clipped the rocks. They had seconds. She pulled him up. Together they limped toward the horses. Dot. Another gunman charged them, until Clara spun and shot him in the gut. He fell, moaning. Elijah blinked. Guess you did learn. They mounted and rode hard as flames rose behind them. The brush had caught. Fire from a stray shot. The chapel was gone. But they lived. Final quiet moment. They rode long into the night. Elijah's blood stained the saddle, and his breathing slowed. He was cold. Too cold. Clara leaned close. Elijah, stay with me. He muttered something. What? He looked at her through half-lidded eyes. You got fire, Clara Westfield. Shut up, she said, choking on tears. Save your strength. Tell me something, he rasped. You believe in ... second chances? She nodded. I have to. His hand found hers. Then don't let me waste mine. He passed out. She rode on. Alone in the desert, with nothing but stars above. And a dying man behind her. The desert didn't sleep. By morning, the wind blew sharp and hot, cutting through Clara's sleeves. She rode with Elijah slumped against her back, unconscious, bleeding, but breathing. Each mile dragged. His weight grew heavier. Her hands numb. On the reins, but she kept going. Because turning back wasn't an option. Because he wouldn't. They crested a ridge by midday. Below. Deadwood Gulch. A lawless sprawl of half-built dreams and crooked deals, nestled between cliffs like a festering, wound on the land. Smoke curled from chimneys. Vultures circled overhead. Fitting. Clara narrowed her eyes. This is it, she whispered. Time to meet the devil. The preacher the first saloon turned them away. So did the second. Nobody would look at them. Nobody would help. Not after they saw Elijah's face. Whispers followed them. Widowmaker. He's supposed to be dead. Boone's got a price on that man's head. Finally, a boy tugged Clara's sleeve. You lookin' for Doc? dot, 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 dot. But he drinks more'n he heals. Clara followed the boy to a leaning church that doubled as a whiskey den. Inside, the air smelled like smoke and sign. Dust hung like fog. The bar was an altar. And behind it stood a man in a priest's collar, pouring bourbon into a tin cup. Saw Elijah and froze. Well, I'll be dot dot Elijah Dam Walker. Clara helped Elijah to a bench. You know him? She asked. Know him? The man grinned. We used to ride together. For the war. For he grew a conscience. Clara raised an eyebrow. You're a preacher now? Depends who's a skin. He offered his hand. Name's Josiah. The plan Josiah cleaned and stitched Elijah's wound, while Clara explained everything Strickland's crimes, the documents, the attack, and the plan to expose him. You plan to stroll into the lion's den? Josiah asked, unimpressed. That ain't justice. That's suicide. Clara held up the papers. These prove everything. If I can show them to the town, if I can turn them against him, then what? You think a mob will hang Boom? He owns the mayor, the sheriff, the damn undertaker. I just need the truth to see daylight. Josiah looked at Elijah, who opened one eye. She's stubborn. Josiah said, She's right. Elijah croaked. Clara blinked. You're awake. Wouldn't miss the sermon, he rasped. He struggled upright, sweat beading his brow. If I can get close, he said, I'll draw him out. You show the truth, and maybe we both make it out. Maybe? Josiah smirked. That's generous. Undercover the next day, the town square buzzed with excitement. Strickland's 10-year reign speech was scheduled for noon. Free ale, music, performers, Clara's disguise, a crimson dance dress ruffled and daring. She blended in with the traveling performers, her documents hidden in the heel of her boot. Elijah wore a dusty coat, hat pulled low. He limped through the alleyways, revolvers under his coat. Every step labored, but determined. They exchanged one look as she passed the saloon. No words. Just a glance, a promise, the calm before night, before the plan. They sat on the roof of Josiah's chapel. Just them, the stars, and the creak of the wind. I never asked, Clara said softly. Why do they call you Widowmaker? Elijah stared at the sky, because the man who gave me that name, I left his wife a widow. He sighed. Used to be a soldier, then a bounty hunter, then worse. Clara rested her hand on his. You saved me. He turned. No, you made me want to be saved. A long silence. She pulled something from her pocket, a silver chain with a charm. Found this in the saddlebag? Your daughter's? He nodded. She's out there somewhere, Clara whispered. I feel it. If she is, Elijah said, she deserves to know her father wasn't just a killer. He paused. If I don't make it, you will. If I don't, he pressed the locket into her palm, you ride. Tell her. I'll tell her everything, she said. He leaned forward. She met him halfway. A soft kiss. No fireworks. Just warmth. Don't die stupid, she whispered. He smiled. No promises. Back in the saddle, the morning came fast. Town square alive with banners, gun smoke, and a brass band blaring off key. Strickland stood tall on the stage gray hair, snake-slick smile, and a gold-plated pistol on his hip. He raised his arms. My people. My town. 10 years of peace and prosperity. Clara waited backstage. Her hands shook as she fingered the papers in her boot. Elijah was on a rooftop across the square, rifle slung over his shoulder, eyes locked on Strickland. A little boy offered Clara a flower. She smiled then, froze. A deputy was watching her. Too close. The deputy moved. Clara moved faster. Deadwood Gulch stood still. Boone Strickland raised his arms like a preacher before a flock. His voice echoed across the square. 10 years of law. 10 years of order. 10 years under my watch. And I promise you Deadwood's future burns brighter than ever. Applause. Cheers. Muffled laughter. But not from Elijah Dot. He was perched on the roof of the old general store, rifle across his lap, eyes tracking every guard, every movement. Sweat beaded under his hat. His shoulder throbbed. But his grip was steady. And Clara was gone from sight. Until suddenly she stepped onto the stage. No permission. No invitation. Just fire in her eyes and a bundle of papers clutched to her chest. The crowd gasped. Strickland turned. Miss? I'm here to speak the truth, she said, loud and clear. About the man you cheer for. The truth drops like a bomb. Whispers spread. People shifted. Clara held the bundle high. These are land deeds stolen, bribes paid, witnesses silenced. This town was built on blood. Strickland's face turned. To stone. Remove her, he barked, but no one moved. Not yet. Strickland ordered the massacre of whole families. Clara continued. He killed women, children, took what wasn't his. And I have proof. Strickland drew his gun. That's when Elijah fired. Gunfight erupts. His shot cracked the sky. Strickland's pistol flew from his hand, clattering across the stage. Screams erupted. Clara dove for cover as guards charged in from every direction. Elijah dropped one with a clean shot. Another fell before he could draw. Then a bullet slammed into his thigh. He grunted but didn't fall. Down below, Clara clutched the documents to her chest and ran through the chaos, shoving them into the sheriff's hands. Do your job, she shouted. It's all here. The sheriff blinked, stunned, then turned on his heel. Strickland, bleeding, picked up a knife from a vendor's cart. He grabbed a child, held the blade to her throat. The crowd froze. Back off, he roared. Or she dies. Clara stared, horrified. Then Elijah limped down from the rooftop, bleeding, dirty, and burning with fury. Let her go, Boone. Strickland sneered. I should have killed you like the rest. You tried, Elijah said. Now you're out of time. Final duel, they faced each other 10 feet apart. The girl had broken free, thank God. The crowd parted like a tide. No more talking, just a draw. Strickland went for his gun. Elijah was faster. One shot. One final shot. Strickland dropped. Not cinematic. Not slow motion. Just fast, hard, and final. Elijah fell to one knee. Clara ran to him. You did it, she whispered. He smiled. You saved them. She held him tight as he slipped against her. Blood on her hands, his breath fading. Elijah, stay with me. Don't you dare leave now. He tried to speak. Only a whisper came out. I found her. What? My girl. She's alive. Tell her. Tell her I tried. His eyes drifted shut. 1 year later, the clinic bustled with life. Children laughed in the yard. Women lined up with baskets of herbs. A new sign hung above the door. Clara Westfield, healer. Inside, a young woman stood staring at a photo. On the wall, Elijah, in uniform, holding his daughter. Clara entered, wiping her hands. She smiled. She looked just like him. She said softly. The girl Carolyn Walker turned. Her eyes shimmered. Thank you, she whispered. Clara just nodded. Heroes don't always wear stars on their chest. Sometimes they don't wear names at all. Sometimes they just bleed quietly. So others don't have to. The sun dipped below the cliffs. A rider in black disappeared into the dusk. Or maybe it was just a shadow. The story ends. But the dust keeps moving.